everybody. How's it going? I'm Ann Richmond, aka Hearth Singer, the head bard in charge round these parts. And today we are doing another fantastic episode of Around the Hearth, the tabletop RPG talk show where me and my besties talk about all things tabletop RPG things.
Mm-hmm. Nailed it.
We're working on the tagline. It's fine. But I am, of course, joined by the inimitable Christopher Gravenstein.
Is I.
How's your week, buddy? Anything exciting?
No. I think I capped out on how much I can play Monster Hunter for now.
Oh, yeah? Well, that's saying something for you.
Listen, I can just play to play. But at this point, I'm sort of just waiting for the update to drop next week sometime.
Right.
So, you know.
And do you continue to use your Palico? Or since we are doing a pet-focused episode, have you considered the dog?
So I do love the dog, and when playing solo, I do one doggo and one catto. But the thing is that the dogs don't steal items for you, whereas the cats are not only more formidable in battle from like a support standpoint, but also will steal items for you. So if you're hunting just because you need like a very specific material, you're it's you'll just get to battle.
You have more of a chance.
Yeah, and like you'll just get to battle like a couple seconds later than everyone else because the game has all this mobility built in. So the cats are.
I feel you.
I'm sorry, and the cats give you high fives. The dogs just they
don't
can't
do it
give you
for
high fives in quite the same way.
Yeah.
So
it's unfortunate. Emily, hi.
I don't know if this is as exciting an announcement. Here's my news for the week.
Okay.
My email inbox at work was out of control, literally out of control, and today it's all I did. I started the day with
just answer emails.
Yep. I started the day with 84. I ended the day with 19.
Wow.
I'm still not quite done. But
that's like a lot.
That's a lot. That's 10 emails per hour. Sorry, 10 minutes per email.
Yeah.
For 9 hours
well,
straight.
And sometimes it's like people send you an email and then that's its own mini project
well, that's
to getting.
The thing. That's the thing.
Yeah.
It was all like, if you send me an email that takes me 5 seconds to respond, I'll probably respond to it right then. But if you send me an email and I go, this is going to take me like an hour to do, I usually don't have that hour at the moment. And so it sits and waits until I have the hour. And then I have to take days like today where I just make the hour happen.
Well, I think one of the things that I try to do, and I'm curious what your methodology is, when I have a mountain like that to climb, I was reminded of the fact that I learned this from The Office. But there's like this moment where they're trying to get a bunch of stuff done. It's really intimidating to the main character, and the other character says, when I'm feeling overwhelmed, I just try to do the easy stuff, like get dressed or like whatever else is on your list that you can just get rid of. So I like to go through an email inbox like that and just find all the junk or the things that are announcements or HR emails, make sure I've like downloaded or like that information into my brain and just remove them. Like anything I can get rid of, I'll just answer those really quick and then I'll like get into the weeds. Are you someone who has to go line by line? What do you do?
No, I definitely take that approach too. Like, I don't know if that's consciously what I was doing, but at least subconsciously, like, first it's definitely go through and make sure I'm clearing out anything that was just like a Jira telling me I got a ticket assigned to me.
Exactly.
Kind of thing.
Exactly.
And then it's because that's really how this math shakes out, right? Is that like there a couple of those emails were like big projects that took an hour and a half to complete, but also a couple of them were just like me knocking off things that literally there's no response to.
It's true.
But yeah, I feel bad for those 19 that are still waiting, but Monday is another day, and
Monday is another day. It absolutely is.
And I need a weekend.
we have a Matt Will Jackson in chat here.
Triage. That's the name of the game, man.
Best Hands 2019.
It's a rough skill to develop.
It's no longer 2019, so I guess we'll have to see
Mm-hmm.
who will take the title now.
Yeah, when are we having that best hands competition?
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know.
I
don't think we can really do that without the previous champion present. So
I know. Well, I do believe. Well, all of us are vaccinated, right?
Yeah.
And I know Matt is partway through that process, so very exciting.
Goats.
Yeah, the further out that date gets, the weirder it sounds, he says. Amazing. 1 out of 2 vaxxed.
Yay for half
Nice.
vax.
Half-ax.
Yeah. Yeah, this has been for me just another week of dogging my way through life.
Wow.
My cat smacked my dog in the face today for the first time as they viewed each other through the prison bars of the child gate between my bedroom and the living room. And it was really sad, honestly, because he like yelped and ran away. And I was like, yeah, I mean, that's probably for the best. So yeah, that's been kind of what I've been thinking of. But I've had pets on the brain. I think it's pretty safe to say. And it's made me think about like all of the times I've had a pet, or like we picked up a dragon egg or something in D&D and wanted to raise it, and how little work it actually was to do so in the game.
Oh yeah.
Compared to real life.
Yep.
That's just your dog now. It follows you everywhere. You don't have to feed
That's just your dog.
Like,
it will never die.
Well, like
It's
training just
your
kind of
dog.
happens organically on the road, you know?
Does it?
Yeah.
so what you're saying is in
Let me
future
tell ya.
campaigns, you want to RP out all those situations where we're training those pets?
No,
Yeah,
no.
let's not do that.
I'm not saying that will make the game better by any means. But it made me kind of like laugh to myself and be like, sure, we'll pick up a baby dragon and a baby owlbear, and it'll just be a thing that we have, and it'll be relevant when we want it to be and not when it's when it's not. But ultimately, yeah, I think it's been an interesting week, and it made me want to talk about pets in D&D, because so many games that I've had, we've like, I remember early on with a game that Chris was running, we ran into a dire wolf, and I was like, I must have this wolf as a friend. And you were like, really? And I was like, I will tame this wolf as a friend. And I had, Emily, have you ever had that experience where you had to have a creature?
I mean,
What were you gonna say, Chris?
I was gonna say you leave out the part where it then mauled one of your party members.
Well, I conveniently left out the part
Yeah.
where it mauled Emily, but it liked me.
It did maul Emily. It was Emily.
Kind of like my cat in real life that swiped
did
Emily on the
did
nose,
swipe
just
me on
like
the
it
nose.
swiped my dog.
It's a curse.
Yeah.
I don't know, Chris.
What?
Have I ever just like taken a pet?
No, you're not really like a pet person in game. You don't want to like
Yeah.
you like familiars because they're sort of set it and forget
I do,
it.
but I also often when I roll a character that has a familiar, I forget
You
that I
forget.
have it for like
Yeah.
sessions at a time.
Well, I think the most recent campaign we were playing, you've literally had a familiar the entire time, and
Yeah.
but you would never know it.
No.
Like it doesn't
Yeah.
exist. Like you're like, I'm worried. I'm still like, you want me to pick my spells and remember I have a familiar and remember what dice I gotta roll? Like that's asking a lot.
What do you think
That's
this
asking
is?
a lot. That's
You know,
asking a lot.
over
Yeah.
time, this series is just going to become, does Emily like playing D&D?
Yeah, right. I'm not entirely sure she does.
Well, it's very related. We just filmed something with Calliope Games last night where one of the topics of conversation was, I think for Emily, Emily was like, I enjoy being at a game table. I don't know that I'm good at games.
I'm not.
I just like to be here. And I was like, that's fine.
Listen,
like,
I hate to break it to you guys, but like, and I mean this in a like not in a bad way.
oh no.
Everyone is terrible at games. Like people are
Yeah.
just not good at like good. Like I think that like the sort of like current way that we consume like gaming media creates this false narrative that people are good, that is what good at a game is, because it's the kind of play that
Yeah.
people want to watch. But like normal people aren't like that, aren't good at gaming like that. It's not about being good. It's just about having a good time.
Yeah. So I also think that having a pet creates this weird responsibility, because unless you're first of all, anyone who wants a pet has probably tried to play a Beastmaster Ranger and found that to be whatever,
Found that
you
to
know,
be not
insert
good.
experience.
Yeah.
Listen, I wasn't gonna say that, but like, sure, not as great as they had wished it would be, you know. And then other times, you know, you find a creature like a Tressum or something on the road like,
Yeah.
that you just want. But I feel like there's gotta be a set of rules that one can develop to have an animal companion that, you know, much like a magical item, you know, you pick up and then you have.
Yeah.
Because I feel like that is something that people desire. Not everyone, right? But I know we had in our campaign when we running the Acquisitions Incorporated game, we found a little demon boy, and one of our players really wanted to have it as a pet. And you figured out a way to kind of make that work without it being fairly broken, right? Like,
well, I mean, I just had it maintain its own agency, right? Because that's really the difference, right? That's I think from that's kind of where you have to draw the line. Like, is it a familiar that responds mechanically to abilities that you have and you can control directly because it's bound to obey you, versus a creature that has its own will and an agency that is simply trained to the best of your ability to work in tandem with you. But like, for example, this creature was a demon, so like it liked Ariel's character, so it would hang out with her. But like, as soon as it's as soon as their goals don't align, the thing may just do whatever the hell it wants with catastrophic consequences. Who's to say?
Yeah, and that's where I think like the best thing, if you are a DM who wants to give pets or have pets, like pets and NPCs that your party befriends, is like that there's a dangerous scope creep there.
Well,
yeah.
Anytime I've ever allowed anyone to have like a pet that wasn't like mechanically like a familiar or something like that, it was purely for RP purposes, because they wouldn't want to bring it into a fight because it would just die and then be irreplaceable.
Well, that's one of my favorite parts of Critical Role currently, is like every time they talk about Jester's pet, they're just like, please kill me, because she's like done so many horrible things and been frozen nearly to death and any number of things where like it definitely would have affected her pet. But like, does it mechanically, is that fun to include that? No, it's more fun to just let her have Sprinkle when she wants to have it.
I mean, you can't be like a Bill the horse situation, right?
Yeah.
Like, people are like, I want a pet, but Bill's just there. You can't take a mine is no place for a horse, even one as brave as Bill. And I think that applies to Dungeons and Dragons.
I think that's applicable here.
Yeah, and I think that's very, very applicable here. So I
that's so funny.
I do like the sort of like the temporal pet that like exists when you want it to for RP purposes, and then you sort of hand wave it into an extra dimensional plane when it is not relevant or it would be in danger. Like, it's fine.
Well, and another thing you could do technically as a DM is to say, like, if they're buying these creatures from a pet store, or if there is a pet store, there could be like a way to board animals when you're not there, or a way to buy a specific kind of like cage of holding that like can teleport them into an extra dimensional space where they will have food and water and drink whenever they want it, but it's expensive, so you don't have to think about it. If you wanted to, that kind of stuff is like available to your imagination, but is it like the most fun use of funds? I guess it depends on what your fun is.
It's like if that's what your characters want, then fine. But like if they want to get into like Monster Rancher, Pokemon, D&D, fine. Then that's a whole different can of worms. But if only one player is really invested in that, it's like you kind of gotta.
And Matt brings up another point, which I think is interesting, which is that a familiar is treating a familiar like a pet weird. Their spirit's bound to a form, but not necessarily like a real cat. And I kind of go back and forth on this because I'm very familiar with my friends. Like, Emily and I will cuddle on the couch or like, hold hands when we're happy. So is it that weird for me to pet my cat familiar when we've done a good job?
I think about it more like, or here's how I interpreted Matt's question.
Yeah.
Is it weird to get close to a thing that like literally you could just, it dies and then it comes back, but like then it'll die. And then, but then you got to think really hard and say some magic words and it comes back, but then it'll die.
But
you know what I mean? Like,
it's about whether, like, I think that's also whether or not your DM invests in it. Like, the player can take this idea and run with it, but it's whether or not the DM invests in giving the thing a personality from when you're like, oh, and like my snake pops out of my tunic and I feed it to whatever. You know what I mean? Like, unless
honestly, I love when my DM is creatures. Like, I really love that, and some of my more ridiculous moments as a DM have just been like when I'm a bird or like I'm a thing. and just making noises that are like somewhat communicative. I think those moments can be really fun and really imaginative. So I guess I wouldn't count it out, if that makes sense.
Thinking of Matt's comment, it makes me think of Morgana from Persona 5. For those who aren't familiar, Morgana is a character who takes the form of a cat but is not a cat. It's like a person, let's just say.
Right.
Like they're a person. They're just in the form of a cat. So people treat this creature like a cat. And they're like, I'm not a cat. Stop petting me like I'm a cat. And this person gets very offended when they are called a cat, even though they are a cat. And so it's like if you're familiar as like a demon or some sort of fae that is bound to a cat's form, are they happy to be there? Are they just kind of like dealing? Like, I feel like there's a lot more room for growth there about whether or not they embrace their corporeal form.
Sure.
And that could be something fun.
Well, I think we've dilly-dallied quite enough here. I think it's time for us to start discussing what our favorite pets in D&D would be. And we've all come up with something, so who wants to go first?
I guess I'll go first.
Okay, go for it.
Yeah, I will.
Present to us the pet.
I present unto you an unorthodox pick, the Rust Monster.
Oh, okay.
Now, I say the Rust Monster because it is effectively a dog as far as its behavior. It's just like any other like average size wild quadruped, right? And like it's relatively docile. It straight up says that it's passive towards people that aren't a food item or that don't have food items on them. And it is, I just feel like even though it's sort of horrifying looking, I just feel like it's to be very cute and just like easily trained because it's very like food motivated.
Right.
Right. So, and then also doubles as a weapon or a garbage disposal unit. And I just feel like it has a very unique set of traits to make it like a fun, unorthodox pet. Maybe not to go adventuring with, but like if you had like a home base, like a guild, or then that could be like a cool thing to just sort of like keep around.
Sure.
Or perhaps like have a pit of rust monsters in your dungeon that you drop people into. Who's to say?
So let's go through. How does an adventurer acquire? How do you imagine acquiring such a creature?
I imagine that one would acquire such a creature by running into it in the wilds, or perhaps while it is like someone else already had a similar idea and kept it like a guard dog of sorts, and then in an effort to get by, you befriend its better nature or offer a better life. It's a rescue situation. Yeah. Is he treating you poorly? Can I take you home, baby? And I would imagine that probably it would be a situation where you'd have a very like non-confrontational party that like wants to avoid fights, so they would run into a creature that is otherwise docile.
What do you imagine the taming process is like?
I mean, I imagine the taming process would probably be once again food motivated, right? So it would be taking a lot of like maybe befriend a local smith and take like all of his rejects or something of that sort, and take all of his rejects or something of that sort and use it to just like reward it and just
Okay.
Yeah.
Cuteness factor. Is a rust monster cute?
It depends on what art you find, honestly.
I gotta look this up.
Yeah.
The 5th edition art is sort of horrifying. Yeah. I
disagree. I don't want this.
No.
I don't want this anywhere near my party.
Okay. No. Yes, I understand that it's kind of like a giant cockroach.
It's like a cockroach, and it has like weird tentacles and a hammerhead shark tail.
Yeah, it does. It's a giant bug. Okay, look at Google.
Emily, what's your creature?
Hold on. Google Rust Monster.
Yeah, I did it.
And then look at the second picture and tell me he's not a little cute. The one where he's got the sword hanging out of his mouth?
No, you cannot pet that.
Come on, look at those eyes. Look at his sweet little eyes.
Okay, listen, he is. I'll give you that he is kind of smiling.
Yeah, exactly. He's kind of like, if you scroll down like third row, there's one that says,
what
like,
I hate about it the most? Whereas the other ones have like a hard carapace, this one has like a weird bulbous boily body.
Well, that one has more.
And so that
this is the
I don't like.
This is the rust monster I fell in love with because he's sort of like an armadillo insect creature.
Yeah, but
come on, look at the sixth image. He's even got a heart above his head. How can you not love him? He
literally has pustules. Okay, wait, the sixth. Yeah, I see the little heart boy.
See?
By Sedano on DeviantArt.
Yeah.
Listen,
Sedano on DeviantArt.
Feel that's
compelled
the cutest
to tell
one,
you.
I will say, but
yeah, he just wants to eat
the
old
bar
swords.
is low.
Yeah, like
man,
I feel like we're trying to take bug parts and make them cute.
Well, here's the deal.
And they're still bugs. Like, nothing you can do can take me away from my bug.
But there's also two types of people in the world. People who are willing to find like things like bugs cute, and people who will reject them soundly. And clearly, I'm in the minority here. But if you're
Ariel says in chat, sounds perfect. What do you mean? You can ride him into battle.
Yeah, exactly.
This is why we don't work.
See, where is Ariel to give her opinion? Where's the person who thinks bugs are cute?
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm not the target demographic for this beast.
Like a butterfly, sure, but I don't want
this. I submit to you that that we create an ascension of the rust monster, and the rust monster is the caterpillar that will chrysalis into a more beautiful creature that is more to your liking, since you hate ugly Animal Crossing villagers and rust monsters.
Oh wow, I'm being called out so hard here.
Yeah, it's okay. It's okay.
That's terrible. Truffles was an awful person.
Yeah, and why?
She also happened.
Yeah.
She thought she was people.
Yeah.
She kept on bragging about how she was a pop star.
And how was she not people?
She was a pig.
Everyone's a
None of them are people, Anne.
None of them are people. There's no ducks
Zell
and DuckTales.
was sensible. Zell
no ducks
had
and
a
DuckTales.
piano. Zell had a piano. Zell had taste. He was attractive. He was well behaved. He didn't run around my whole place trying to tell people how to live their lives. Like, this is neither here nor there.
Could I sell you on rust monsters if I told you that they turned into something akin to like a Mothra or a Butterfree?
Yeah, I'd be okay with it.
Okay. Well, yeah. And why is that exactly?
I don't want to answer that question.
Anyway,
I want to hear about Emily's
That's my pick. I rest my case. The defense rests.
Okay.
Go.
Emily, hit me, baby.
All right, I think you're going to like this one a lot more.
Yeah,
okay.
You are, because it's pretty.
Fairy dragon.
Oh, that's a good one. Yeah, I like those.
Yeah, I know. It's the best one.
Okay, easy.
It's the best.
I haven't presented yet.
It's the best one.
Okay. Tell me why.
Oh, okay. Well, because hold on.
It's not that easy.
I mean, when you just say when you say fairy dragon, it does all the work for me. It's right there in the name. It's a fairy. It's a dragon. It's a fairy dragon.
I don't want a hot creature syndrome pet either.
Okay,
like that's what I don't want.
The fairy dragon brings so much more to the table than just being the prettiest. Okay.
Yeah.
The fairy dragon is colorful. The fairy dragon changes color with age. And literally, it's you never have the same fairy dragon 2 days in a row, because that color is always shifting. The challenge rating is shifting. The abilities are shifting. This is a versatile, completely ever-changing pet. This is a trickster pet. This is a pet who is like gonna have a good time with you. It's very, very big personality.
Or is it going to troll you constantly?
No, because it's your pet. So like it's gonna like be trickstery with everybody else.
Oh, okay.
But according to its personality, it likes to play pranks, but like it's got a puckish sense of humor, so to speak. So that's how you know that it's like you're in on the joke. It's not gonna hurt you. It's not gonna do something bad to you.
Talk to me
it's
about
also
acquisition.
Hot, so like that's good for you.
How hard is it to acquire? I hate you. How hard is it to acquire a fairy dragon? Should I want one?
I don't know. How do I find that out?
Well, let's just read some fairy dragon text. It says here. Hold on. I'm opening up a thing.
Oh, they can turn invisible.
Yeah. Oh, I didn't even get into like
oh
the
yeah,
abilities.
yeah. Talk to me
they
about
They can turn
abilities.
invisible. They have telepathy. They're resistant to certain magic effects, and they're spellcasters. So they have like an action of euphoria breath, which can like basically exhale euphoria mist all over you, and it's like a
So if you like to get high,
it's
fairy dragon
basically. But then also depending on what color they are at the moment, they can cast a different spell. So that they kind of like work through a cycle of 7 different spells. And
but depending on how old they are.
Yeah.
So they start out with Dancing Lights, Mage Hand, and Minor Illusion. At their 5 years or less age, which is honestly great.
I thought we were picking pets, not party members.
Isn't the best pet its own party
also
member?
a party member?
Yeah, sure, fine. Yeah.
I mean, I considered the owlbear.
Yeah.
Consider the owlbear sounds like the name of like
a band.
Yeah.
Okay, nobody take that. I need to save it for later. Consider the owlbear.
Consider the owlbear as like a cover band.
Yeah, I love it. Let's read about euphoria breath. Exhales a puff of euphoria gas at one creature. Creature must succeed on a DC 11 Wisdom saving throw, or for 1 minute, that target can't take reactions and must roll a D6 at the start of each of its turns. Okay, so it's kind of like a little confusion spell type situation.
Pacifying spell.
Don't hate it. Don't hate it.
Makes you feel good, but
yeah, it makes you feel
so good that you can't really
disoriented. Just relax into it is what they're saying.
Can I tell you, this is like a sidebar. But one of the scariest things about being a Roll20 employee and referencing a piece of the Roll20 compendium is that I have too much power. So like literally, I could have almost just now accidentally deleted the entry for Fairy Dragon. I didn't, but like I was very close.
But it could have happened.
I mean, you might as well delete the entry for Rust Monster because he's too ugly.
I'm gonna go do that right now.
Yeah.
Matt, wow, you're terrible. No, what she should do is insert one of those other people's art, and then, well, I mean, not really because you'd want to pay them for their art, but as far as a cuteness,
little heart,
Yeah,
our friend from DeviantArt.
Consider the owlbear is an NPR segment, says Matt, and I have to agree. Welcome back to Consider the Owlbear. I'm your host, Ann Richmond, and today we'll be talking about spines. Do you have them? Have you created those tempting bristles on your back this week? Well, we have, and you should consider it. This has been Consider the Why is no one stopping me?
Listen.
Why would we stop art? Who are we to get in the way?
Why is no one stopping me from making this happen as people are fleeing the channel?
I'm offended but also amazed by Terry Gross Rust Monsters.
Okay, so all right, what else about the fairy dragon do we need to know? How hard is it to keep? Like, is a fairy dragon's love eternal, or do we imagine as a trickster spirited creature that it's going to be hard to keep its loyalty?
I would be of the mind that unlike a pseudo dragon, which kind of like knows its place as a companion, a fairy dragon is just like any other dragon, despite its diminutive stature, right?
Yeah, they're small, right? And you do have to consider though that they're definitely a high vis.
Yeah,
they are.
Yeah, they're high vis.
A high vis pet.
High vis pet.
High vis pet.
But like, come on. Of course, I want a high vis pet.
What are their alignments? Chaotic good.
Let's see. Chaotic good. Yeah, tiny dragon, chaotic good.
The tiny dragon entry is for specifically an older fairy dragon. A young fairy dragon is actually tiny. So, like, fits in your pocket. Dragon.
Yeah. So only high vis when revealed.
Yeah.
Also, it can be invisible. So like, there's a lot to like.
It's the only warning of a fairy dragon's presence is a stifled giggle.
Oh my god.
I like it.
That's kind of amazing. That's kind of amazing. It's kind of amazing. When a pseudo dragon just isn't enough for the extra. Yeah. I like.
And as a DM, I would go, okay, like every before they said anything, I just do a little giggle. It's great direction. Now I'm going to be a little basic today, but I have some reasons. Recently, in my Descent into Avernus game, I received a Tressum that was transformed into my familiar, which is great. But on every occasion that we have this Tressum in our party, by the way, Tressum is what I'm suggesting, it can always do something that I just didn't realize it could do or was good at, if that makes sense. So let's talk about them. Tressum, they're mischievous winged cats, about as big as a house cat, and they have a 3-foot wingspan. So that's pretty serious.
Yeah, that's significant.
Now, thought to be the results of wizardly experimentation on house cats, Tressum are intelligent. They've been known to form strong friendships with humanoids, which means like the loyalty factor could be there, particularly with rangers and wizards. Tressum get along well with others of their kind, but they rarely lair or hunt together, so they don't like live in packs. They peacefully ignore bats, fairy dragons, and the like, but they hate sturges and evil flying monsters.
And rust monsters.
And they enjoy. It doesn't say that.
I know, I'm joking.
But they don't like manticores.
Okay.
And they
Who
which
does,
is
really?
also a bug-like thing. But who does? Yeah. They enjoy teasing dogs. They feed on small rodents, so they're pretty easy to keep, right? Like the factor of how do you care for this creature is pretty sick, and they can also like hunt those things on their own. They don't attack nests or despoil eggs, which is nice. They mate with each other. They can also mate with normal cats.
No.
1 out of every 10 of their offspring will be a Tressum, and the others will be normal cats, which is interesting.
That is interesting.
They have good memories, particularly when it comes to danger. So a Tressum that sees a human use a wand of lightning bolts remembers the danger of the stick of wood held by humans. So like they're really observant of different things and can tell you about them. So or point you to things. So let's talk about mechanically what we have going on.
Well, they're also like don't they also have like spell-like abilities, don't they?
They don't. Well, they do a little bit. We'll get there. So they can't like cast spells, right? But it says with DM's permission, a person who casts Find Familiar could have a Tressum. But again, that's at DM's discretion. And because they can fly, sometimes DMs don't want to do that.
By the way, I want to go back to my Rust Monster entry because I didn't know we were like going through their abilities. I thought we were just trying to sell their merits, and I didn't get to do that.
Well, then we can go back.
Let me tell you, you didn't
get
get to sell their merits either, if I'm being honest.
Wow, okay, yeah. Well, you're biased.
Well, maybe it should be more attractive and we'd care more.
Yeah, that's fair. I get that.
So, number 1, their base speed is 40 feet. So that's faster than a person. They have a climb speed and a fly speed. They are pretty dexterous, and they have bonuses to perception and stealth.
What is
so
their
+4 and 5?
What is their intelligence?
Their intelligence is +0, so they're not incredibly intelligent, but they are immune to poison. They have dark vision and a passive perception of 15, which is no joke.
Yeah, no.
They're more wise, I suppose, and charismatic than they are intelligent.
I've always seen people always use them as they're really good scouts.
They are. And they also
scouts.
they understand common. They understand common even though they can't speak it. So you can communicate to them and they can try to communicate back or show you something. If you're like, hey, where was that thing? They could lead you there, which I always think bridges the gap in terms of some of these creatures. Because if you are trying to, let's say, charm a blink dog or an owlbear, they don't necessarily understand you just off the bat. So it's harder to convince them to be loyal to you or to join you on your quest. Now, the thing that I love that they have, which is great, and I always forget about, is the fact that they have detect invisibility just innately.
Yeah.
Within 60 feet of the Tressum,
random.
magical invisibility fails to conceal anything from the Tressum's sight. So they're incredibly observant. They have keen smell, so advantage on wisdom perception checks that rely on smell, and poison sense, so they can detect whether something is poisonous by taste,
they're
touch,
like
or smell.
super handy. They have all of these like intensely good utility abilities.
Well, exactly. And so that's why, even though, like, listen, I have a cat and I think cats are cute, and I was like leaning towards all these other things. I was leaning towards, like, my first choice was going to be the nightmare, because like I think it's cool that they can teleport between like demi-planes, and like I'm a horse girl at heart, so like why wouldn't I want a flaming pony to ride around? But at the end of the day, I was like, that's a lot of baggage. Like, we have the Bill situation, right?
Yeah.
And then I just kept on thinking about how every time I have this Tressum, I realize I can talk to it. And now that it's my familiar, like, it can talk back to me, and it can go ahead and stealth, and it knows when things are poisoned, and it can see invisibility and like invisible traps, and like is just able to perceive things when I can't. And it's just a nice failsafe for my cleric, to be able to have that. So yeah, that's why it's my choice. Feel free to ask me any questions or push back.
I think one thing we can say for sure: a flying familiar is always better
I was
than
going.
non-flying.
Yeah,
I was
10
going to
out of
say
10.
that, like, every time given like any choice, people always pick something that flies, because it's all like, well, now I just have radar.
Yeah.
Because it's like, if I'm outside, I could just go fly 100 feet up and just tell me, give a holler.
Well, it also has the survivability thing going for it, I think, which is that, like, when you have a pet, you don't want it to die horribly. So I can be like, fly free, my angel, like, sing to me, as it flies into the night, as opposed to if I had, an owlbear or dire wolf, where they're just kind of in it.
I made a point, like, at one point, like, in my DMing career, I was like, man, all these people with these familiars and stuff, and familiars can be really powerful when used properly. And I was like, I'm just going to start aiming for familiars as soon as they become any kind of active element on the battlefield. Like Warlock, like we played a campaign, and like our Warlock had a Raven that they used for all sorts of crazy spell casting shenanigans. And I was like, no, man, anytime I fought anything, they just squash that thing as quickly as possible, because
it's one of those things where you have to think about whether or not the creature has seen the thing.
Well, that's the thing. It's like, it's very, the monsters know what they're doing, right? Like, if the thing has exhibited that it is more than just set dressing, then it's gotta go.
Yeah, totally. Especially if it's become a threat equal to the party members. Yeah. Because it's that same thing with the emails of, you get the things off the field that are easy to deal with first, right?
Yeah. I mean, someone rolls up with a fairy dragon, it's gotta go.
How dare you? John Wiki says, cats with wings, instead of knocking cups off tables, it's gargoyles off buildings. And I kind of like that.
Yeah.
I'm kind of into it. Matt Will Jackson says, we had the opportunity to prepare in a fight last night. We have a few druids. We used the Tasha's feature to find familiar, and it cast AoE immediately. Oh my gosh. That's crazy. Yeah, familiars and pets can be like either helpful or a hindrance. I also kind of feel that way when you're playing a druid and you cast, conjure fae spirits or whatever that spell is, or conjure animals. It's kind of like suddenly you have a whole lot of other elements, but
wait, what's Tasha's feature to find familiar?
I think there's a new type of druid that can find familiar.
Oh, okay.
Let's go to the tapes.
Well, isn't there like,
Let's go to the tapes.
Isn't there like swarm of familiars or some nonsense like that?
There's flock of familiars, is I know warlocks can cast that. And
flock
I
of
think
familiars is very cool.
What
book is that from? Lost.
But now, Chris, we wanted to go back. You felt that you didn't get to share everything you wanted to about the rust monster. Before we allow our keen audience to make their feelings known, and we make our own feelings known, having heard all of the options.
So I'll just say this.
Yeah.
So rust monsters have a speed of 40 feet, which according to you is just fantastic.
It is.
They're dumb as a post, but that's kind of their charm.
Right. Sure.
They have dark vision 60 feet. Here's the important thing: is they can pinpoint by scent the location of any ferrous metal within 30 feet. So that means that if you're fighting anyone who's holding a weapon or holding a weapon or wearing armor. They effectively have blind sight.
How do I communicate that with it, though? Does it understand English or common?
No. But if trained,
So you have to make time for training, though. Whereas with Emily's and my choices, like, they're just fine out of the bag.
Yeah, I suppose. But I mean, anyway, they can also rust non-magical metal by basically doing any damage to it. So like a round, they can give it a -1 and a -5. It's destroyed. It can destroy ammunition instantly. And then it's interesting because its antenna corrode non-magical metal that it can see within 5 feet. If the object isn't being worn or carried, the touch destroys a 1-foot cube of it. If the object is being worn or carried by a creature, then they must make a dexterity saving throw to avoid the monster's touch. If the object touched is either metal, a metal armor or a metal shield being worn or carried, it takes -1s to its AC. So
so overall, you could start bringing down bonuses by a lot.
Well, it's not only that, but it's interesting that I just realized now that if it is not something that's being worn, they can essentially corrode and destroy a foot cube of metal every round. So out of combat, that could be very useful to like breaching lots of barriers, getting through doors with metal locks. Literally, if you have a rust monster in it, any locked door is negligible. Because like locks are made out of metal, right? So he just touches it with antenna and it's dust.
How big is a rust monster?
They're medium.
Okay.
I think they're like the size of a large dog or like a wolf, you know.
Yeah.
Any other kind of
difficult to travel with in some situations.
I mean, not any more than any other animal companion. You know what I mean? Like people take panthers and wolves all over sometimes 2 panthers.
I mean, you're
all
right.
over the place. So,
sometimes 2 panthers.
So, you know,
all right, Drizzt.
If people can roll around with that, I can roll around with 2 rust monsters.
Yeah, that's true.
And
but would you want to when they're so horrifyingly ugly?
Yeah, but here's the deal: if I don't personally find them ugly, then that's even more of a boon. Because if I rolled into a place with 2 of those guys flanking me, are you really gonna mess with me?
I mean, no.
And then you're talking to me,
like,
and they just
I
reach
like
forward.
when people want to talk about my pet.
But then they reach forward with their gentle fronds and just thrust their sword into dust.
Ew.
I mean, come on.
I don't like their mandible fronds. Dislike. Okay, well, I think we've all made our points known. Emily, thank you for posting about Wild Companion. Alaria, welcome. Yes. So here are the choices. I think we should talk about some honorable mentions while we vote. But the voting will be over the next little bit.
My emotional support rust monster.
Amazing.
Fairy dragon.
Yeah, whatever, man. It's too hot.
Loophole.
Fairy dragon has hot girl syndrome.
What is the best companion D&D
Just look at
pet?
these pictures. My God.
Rust monster.
You're so beautiful.
Tressum. Or Fairy dragon.
Fairy dragon.
So we've got Fairy dragon, which is like a little flying multicolored chaotic dragon friend. Tressum, which is a flying cat with lots of other utility. And Rust monster, which is the largest of the 3, but with a lot of cool utility to get around in different dungeons. And, you know, it's certainly high vis in its own way. Okay, great. So we're gonna go ahead and let this vote go on for 5 minutes. Guys, get in chat and Twitch if you're not here. If you're over on the YouTube, come on over to twitch.tv/HearthSingerGames. You guys will see this poll if you hover over chat in Twitch. It will be there, and you will be able to vote for your favorite one.
Yeah, Matt, what is your favorite creature? If we're so wrong.
Yeah, we're so wrong, is what I hear.
Do it.
Bullet.
A bullet. Talk about a high-vis pet.
Yeah, really.
And aren't bullets large?
Yeah, so bullets they're big boys with little shark heads.
I mean, they are cool because they're literally land sharks.
Yeah, they're land sharks. But I feel like they don't have a tremendous. First of all, they're monstrosities. and I'm not saying that to be cruel. I'm saying that they literally are categorized that way.
They're land sharks.
I think it would be pretty hard to train one. They're large. They're challenge rating 5.
That's the main. Like they're way strong.
Yeah, I think you would have a hard time training that. Love has no size. Okay, Matt. Just.
It's
just,
true.
Just.
That's true. I'm going to create an NPC that is Matt, and it rides a bullet.
They are one of the most fun to say. I'll give them that much.
Yeah, it's true. It's true.
Bullet.
What's up, Jurassic Rules? How's it going?
Yeah,
We're talking
jump
about
on into
D&D
that
pets.
Poll. Make sure you vote for Fairy Dragon.
No.
Make sure you
all the
vote
way.
for Fairy Dragon. Yeah.
Damn it! God damn it, Emily.
Well, I need to know who voted for Rust Monster other than me. Oh, yeah. I know who.
Is it Matt?
No, it's not Matt. It's Ariel.
Oh, it's Ariel. Yeah, it's true. It's true.
She thinks gross things are cute.
No, it was Matt.
Oh, it was Matt.
It was Matt. Yeah. No one wants to play Dungeons and Dragons with me, which is sad. I'm really sorry that that's the case, but don't worry. You'll find your group.
That is
you will.
That is
Everybody
the way
does.
of it. Ain't that just
it can
the way?
Be a little bit
Everyone
of a journey.
goes through a phase of I want to play D&D, but I don't have anyone to play it with.
Yeah. Or I'm not playing with the right people, and is this more trouble than it's worth? Or like there are lots of elements.
So Emily, in the realm of completely impractical Dungeons and Dragons pets, akin to something like a boulette, what would be your dream pet? If foregoing any of the rules, if you could subjugate any creature to be your best friend, what would it be? Let's say not including just dragons. That seems a little
boo.
Okay.
Yeah.
Stupid.
No, it's got to be an
but
interesting
it's Dungeons
choice.
And Dragons.
Yeah. Well, so I would like to have a dungeon as a pet.
Yeah.
Personally.
Yeah. Well, go for it. Whole dungeon is a mimic.
I'm thinking.
While she thinks, it's funny that you say that because mine would 100% be a mimic.
Yeah, mimics are great.
Mimics. I feel like a mimic
sticky
that I could train to be anything would be the cutest in the world.
And if you, I imagine if you were like a bard or a rogue, some kind of like trickster cleric or something, and you had like a little mimic, and you were like, yeah, here, just sign on the dotted line, and we'll help you. And then the contract itself begins to like eat them. Like I'd be.
You could train him to be your hat, and so you could take him places without him being too high vis, but he would still have a good view. Right?
Yeah.
So you'd have like just a nice like wide brim, like musketeer hat with a feather, but then it just has like eyes right above the strap.
Yeah.
But they could go away. But
I feel like I'll always like be drawn to owlbears and just think that they're cool. So that might be a good one. I don't really have like a.
They can be really monstrous or really cute.
Yeah. Like I don't have a good back. Like I can't support that argument, but I guess if we're going.
Owlbear, you say?
Going wild.
I mean,
owlbear.
I'm a high vis person, and I submit the unicorn for your consideration.
Yeah.
Actual unicorns are pretty intense.
Are a pain in the ass to deal with. Yeah, I know.
They're challenge rating 5. They can detect good and evil. They can cast Druidcraft. They can cast Pass Without a Trace. They can cast Calm Emotions, Dispel Evil and Good. They have magic resistance. Their attacks are considered to be magical. So they have their hoof and their horn and their multi-attack situation. And they also have teleport once per day. They can teleport everyone to a location they're familiar with within 1 mile of where they are.
So I submit to you that a bullet and a unicorn are the same size. So like
yeah.
So like why is one okay?
I'm saying that you know what, because I said so, and it's my podcast.
Yeah, that's fine.
And mine is pretty, and a boulette isn't.
Yeah,
is that what you wanted to hear,
yes,
Chris?
I just want you to reveal who you truly are.
I like the concept in chat of the barbarian with the pet dire badger.
Yes,
it's pretty great. Yeah. I like it.
I think,
nice, tasty peanut. I like it.
Good.
Jurassic Rules, you are the tiebreaker. You picked Fairy Dragon. Fairy Dragon wins.
Yay!
Edging out the Tressum and the Rust Monster. And I can't say I'm surprised, even though I don't necessarily agree. I would be
Everyone likes a
perfectly
dragon.
happy to have a fairy dragon, though. I mean, just who wouldn't?
I mean,
Who
just
wouldn't
look at
want
that.
that?
My God.
She's just been
I know.
scrolling through fairy dragon art this
yeah.
entire time.
This entire time.
Yeah,
It's true.
maybe.
Who wouldn't want that? Well, guys, we're coming to the end of our podcast for the week, so I want to give people a chance to shout some stuff out if they have anything to shout out. Chris, anything? Any thoughts?
Shout outs, huh? I don't know.
Shout outs, huh?
Watch Hearth Singer Games.
Oh, who's that? It's me.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Stay here. If you're new, also thank you for that follow, Jurassic Rules. Welcome to the Baby Bar.
We do this enough times. I'm gonna have to create a community just so I have a place to tell people to go.
Just go here.
Just go to my Discord. There's nothing going on there, but you can go there.
Just have one. Well, we do have a Discord, so please, by all means, come hang out in the Discord. You may find, if you're new and looking for people to play with, that there may be some people who will want to play D&D with you there. Just one word for you, Appa, says Serena of the West. I get it. Listen,
that's fair.
I love Appa. Appa's the best. And my dog, Samwise, is obviously the best familiar that there is. The end, no contest. It's clearly true. Emily, I know you have some stuff to talk about, especially for tonight. So let's chat.
Yeah.
Do your shout outs.
Yeah, let's see. So I, in addition to being found here on Friday nights, I also stream with on Q Times on Friday nights. We have an ongoing World of Darkness campaign led by the inimitable B. Dave Walters. And tonight we are debuting our 4-episode arc playing Mage, the Ascension.
Nice.
Not the Awakening, because I found out there are 2 different things.
Can you tell us anything about your character at all? You can?
We're playing in the Technocracy, if anyone is familiar with that. So we're basically like the agents from the Matrix. If I could sum up my character in 3 words, it would be...
I work too hard. I love too much.
It would be... cybernetic Peloton trainer.
Thank you. Good night. No,
now, don't you want to watch?
Yeah. No. 10 out of 10.
So that
10
starts
out of 10.
at 8:30 Eastern Time, 5:30 Pacific on Q Times.
Awesome. Cool. And as for me, I am Ann Richmond. This is my channel. You can also find weekly or bi-weekly YouTube videos about tabletop RPGs over on the YouTube at youtube.com/Ann Richmond. And I have a Patreon community where I run games for my Patreon community once or twice a month. It's a great opportunity to meet lots of people. You get access to unique magical items that I've designed, along with the audio versions of this podcast and any number of other boons that you can find there. But a lot of people are join into that game. Chris is one of those folks and will be joining me tomorrow for this month's Sunlit Seekers adventure, because basically what I do is I have kind of like an MMO style world where people can pop in and out of the group campaign that we're running via our stronghold system, and can participate in various elements of the story and progress it all as a big old group. So I encourage you guys to check out the Patreon and see if it's something that is for you. I hope you'll consider joining. And as for the rest of it, I think we're going to say goodnight for now, and we'll see you next week on another episode of Around the Hearth. Thanks for joining us, guys.
Bye.
Bye. Bye. Flail snail is a parting shot.
Flail
Goodbye. Consider the flail snail.